All right, February 25th, workout breakdown. Still week one of the Urban Legend training. I think I just posted a video on chest day for the first week. Again, I'll go over that last. The main workout here: reverse lunges, goblet sit squat, and ball or dumbbell hip thrusts. Just regular lifting. So we're still in February. I think some people are kind of yearning for no aerobic work interwoven between it, and I found a different way to do it in the next block, which I'm kind of excited about. And which I don't know if anybody else ever gets excited about these things or even notices like different types of structures and stuff they come up with. But I try my hardest after all these years to still be kind of like innovative and ideas and creative as I can to come up with things that aren't so crazy that they don't work, but again still fit the mold and the structure and efficiency and get the job done, but are different. So lifting block here, not much to say here. I will say this out loud. It's a very common question. The reverse lunges, when you guys do something like this, physiologically speaking, you would like to do them all on one leg, all on the other leg, and it does make sense that you would have to take a break for grip strength. So don't get overly concerned about that. Meaning, if I were going to do, 10 reps, I'm going to do all 10 on my left leg in a row. If I feel like my grip strength is giving out, it's not really a scenario where you want to fight it. Like that, there's not much of a benefit there. Like I would much rather you put them down, kind of shake your arms up for a few seconds, pick them back up, and then do your right leg, and then start your timer recovery clock. I think some of us get kind of caught up in some of those things that are unnecessary to get caught up in, and don't ultimately help what we're aiming for, which is again just raw strength here. So again, take a break if you need it between legs. Goblet slit squat, the goal of this is to fully sit down, center your weight. It allows you an opportunity to reset at the bottom of every single squat, which I kind of like. It takes the pressure and the load off a lot of your joints and your range of motion and mobility issues. A lot of us are restricted in that. So this is an opportunity to really isolate your quads and your glutes while resetting yourself at the bottom of every single squat. So every now and then it's nice to throw this in. This isn't the greatest way in the world to kind of attack hypertrophy and strength because, again, you can only load up so much here, but it really does challenge your trunk and your spine and your stability throughout really your entire body with that weight centered if you're using the appropriate weight. And then hip thrusts are just great for glute activation and mobility through extension and flexion of obviously your pelvis region. So the second block, pretty excited about. This is what I was saying, a little bit different here. So interweaving our monthly emphasis into this uniquely, I'd say. 3-minute EMOM. 21 minutes, which is really 7 rounds. So a little bit of volume here, which is, if you haven't been paying attention this entire month, there's always been a little bit more volume. We've been doing, a lot of like 7, 8, 10 rounds of things. 4 to 8 dumbbell resets. Reset deadlifts, obviously with dumbbells. And then if you'd like to, you can add in the low bench step over. So, what I've been trying to tell people or preach to people is the reset deadlift is meant to be really aggressive. From a technical standpoint, you should be very confident in doing this correctly because you get to reset every single rep. Now, you're technically under a time crunch because it's a minute, but a minute's a lot of time. And there's a world where maybe you want to use something really over the top or over expected in a weight, and you just do 4 reps and you just focus on every single rep being completely individual and you setting everything up correctly at the bottom of the deadlift, which is the beauty of doing a reset deadlift. Those of you that pick too high of reps or feel like you got like this competitive side or pride side and we move too quickly through these tend to not like these movements because it gets our order of operations out of whack, and then a lot of times you feel maybe some pressure in like your lower back or somewhere that you shouldn't be feeling. So I would urge you to slow down, go up in weight if you can, and reset and treat each rep like a completely individual rep, whether you're doing 4 or 6 reps or whatever as you go. Now, if you don't want to go heavy at all, right, and you still want to challenge yourself, that's what the low bench step over is for. Obviously, moving laterally and getting up and over the bench and putting the dumbbells down doesn't sound like a lot, but if anybody's ever done this before, which we have done in the past, it is a pretty big step up in terms of energy output. So you can always toss that bench in if you want to make it that much more challenging depending on the scenario. You'll then rest for a minute. And then you guys will go into the 8 to 20 calories road, which of course you need to decide based off of yourself. Remember, we're trying to work for the most part here at a output, typically 70% or less. That's going to allow us to move back into the deadlifts. Remember, we're doing this 7 times with that elevated heart rate and your weight's not being affected. So that's a big caveat. Like, do you know yourself well enough on the rower to know what type of output you can sustain to get back to these deadlifts, which again, for the most part, are probably going to be over expected because they're reset deadlifts, and maintain those weights in that rep count. So I'm kind of excited to see how this plays out with that 1 minute break in the middle, and then again, rower to deadlift and break, and for 7 rounds. So the volume is there. Again, should be pretty cool, and hopefully people are getting more comfortable with things like the reset deadlifts because it opens the door to just so much more opportunity in terms of the amount of load you can move. Urban Legend training, week 1, leg day, very similar to chest day. Like I said, the first 2 weeks are volume intensive. And like I said, open to anybody. Anybody can do this. You guys, again, can always just lower your weights. You don't have to go up to the tier of whatever it is you're trying to achieve. If you are somebody trying to achieve a specific tier, then obviously you'd like to go over the tier weight if you could for as much as possible. And then obviously at the bottom of it, come down to whatever that tier weight is. And again, if you're somebody that's just striving to get better at the Urban Legend in general, which you got to start somewhere, use whatever weight you can handle, closest to the tier that you're aiming for. So again, 60 front squats, followed by 100 body weight squats, followed by a 100 calorie bike ride. Again, volume, volume, volume. You're then going to go around and repeat that sequence of the front squats, body weight squats, and calories ride, but 50%. So as you work your way through this, obviously muscular endurance is a huge part of the Urban Legend. You're going to get that in troves right here as you work your way through this. And again, your weight selection is going to go a long way. So, as always, it doesn't really change whether you're using heavier weights or light weights, volume or less volume. Like, the integrity of the movement is always like crucial. It's like priority 1 at all times. So as you guys work your way through this type of volume, just do your best to use full range of motion, pay attention to the little things, try not to zone out. That's when we tend to lose control of our trunks or our hips, and little tweaks or pains of kind of start to set in for people. So, be aware as you're working your way through this, and then you'll see the supplemental work, which I had mentioned that will be weaved in depending on what's going on. And I think this is a scenario that's a great spot. So we're going to hammer your quads up top. So I wanted to find a way to make sure we hit your posterior chain right here and kind of get you out of the sagittal plane by moving you laterally, and we'll go that way. So a little bit of supplemental work under the assumption that you actually get that far.